Hi everybody, welcome to tonight's training. My name is Ashley Perl. I am a somatic healing coach. I specialize in helping women overcome anxiety and overwhelm, limiting beliefs, and really any emotional challenges that are preventing women from experiencing life from a joyful place, from a place of peace and so forth. And today we are going to dive into one of my favorite topics, one of the most powerful and potent tools and modalities that I have seen, and that is inner child work. So we're going to talk about what inner child work actually is and how it can support anyone who is looking to experience more fulfillment or joy, presence, peace in not only your life with yourself, but also in your relationships. And so I'll share a little bit about what inner child work is, and then I will share 3 ways that you can begin working with and healing your inner child today. So this work gets to be accessible to anyone. All right, let us begin. So no matter what age you are, the person you are today is largely based on what your childhood experiences were like. So how you were cared for, how you were raised, the belief systems in the family unit where you grew up, all of that has an impact and an imprint on the person that you are today. There's this quote that says, we don't have problems in our current day relationships, we have childhood problems that just present themselves in our relationships. And I really do believe that to be true. That the beliefs that we hold within ourselves and the meaning that we make about the world, oftentimes these are projected onto our relationships. And oftentimes the work that people go to coaching, go to therapy, go to self-development and personal development to work on, often are behaviors or challenges that are happening as a result of our inner children. And so it's helpful to understand this concept and what it is so that you can start to bring more relief and peace into your everyday. So essentially the way that you grew up has an impact on who you are today. The meaning that we make about the world is based on our experience when we're young. And that's really, really helpful for us to understand, because depending on how you grew up and what your experiences were, maybe you had a parent that left at a young age, or maybe you were one of 10 children and it was really hard to, get the attention of your parents. Now, as young kids, we don't really have the logical reasoning skills, right, to understand why this is happening. And so what ends up happening is that we create beliefs and meaning of all of this stuff that we experience. Like, oh, okay, if a parent left, that must mean that I'm not lovable, or I'm not worthy enough to stick around for. Or if you are maybe one of many children and maybe your belief was that I have to work really hard to be seen and get the attention of a parent. Whatever the case, and it varies for every single person. And the interesting thing is that even though we're adults today, we all have inner children that live inside of each and every one of us. So we all have, each and every one of you has, all different versions of your younger selves that exist within you today. And if that seems like a crazy thought, I promise, just stick with me. Just like a tree, builds rings as it grows every year, you can think that just like you grow, you still carry the versions of yourself that have existed in the past. And not only that, those versions of you from when you were young, think of them like being frozen in time. They carry the same reasoning skills, they carry the same belief systems about the world, they make meaning of the world in the same way, and they also have coping strategies. So maybe as a 5-year-old, in order to get attention, you had to really kick and scream and throw a tantrum until somebody would just pay attention to you. And maybe that worked when you were young, right? Maybe that worked when you were young. But the thing about inner child work and these inner children that we have is that we take those strategies and subconsciously we play those things out in our present day as well. And so maybe with your current partner or in your friendships, when you feel like there's a need that's not being met, when you feel like you're not being heard or seen, you have your inner child in the driver's seat and you begin to, get angry and maybe even throw whatever your version of an adult tantrum looks like. And sure, that maybe worked when you were young, but now as an adult, that's something that could cause a rift. It can drive people away. And so the whole meaning or the reason why it's so important to understand that these little versions of you exist within you is because they exist within you because there's needs that weren't met when we were young, that we're trying to get met in current day as adults, but we're doing so in a way that's maybe not in alignment with how we want to be acting, or maybe not supportive. And I always am able to tell when an inner child part of ourselves or a part of a client is coming online or in the driver's seat when I hear them say things like this in session. They'll come in and they'll say, I keep doing the same thing in my relationship. I don't want to be doing it. Logically, I know I shouldn't be, but I can't help it. It's like something takes over me, okay? And when those words and those languages, that language is used, or maybe you can think about something in your life where you're like, okay, after the fact, I don't really know why I responded in that way to that situation. It didn't really seem like it made sense, or I keep doing this thing in my relationship or in my life and I don't want to be doing it. Consider that maybe it's not your true self that is in the driver's seat in those moments. It's actually your inner child or one of your inner children that's in the driver's seat, that's just throwing a tantrum of its own in a way, trying to get a need met. Now, what do I mean by needs? So as humans, we all have needs. We have core needs for safety, for love, for security, for validation, acknowledgement. And so if you learned a coping mechanism when you were young to receive love by just, getting great grades or always, showing your accolades to your family, maybe in present day you are overworking yourself over and over again, feeling really depleted, but trying to get validated from the external world in whatever way you can. But for some reason, that's just, it's not working for you anymore. And so rather than try to meet that need by all of this external validation, this is where we get to do what's called reparenting. And reparenting is one of the most powerful tools, and it's an ongoing thing that we can do in and outside of our sessions with our coaches, with our therapists, and whomever you may decide to work with. Reparenting is essentially the process of parenting ourselves, showing up for ourselves, and providing those needs that we did not get met when we were young. So validating ourselves, resourcing safety within ourselves, doing everything internally, and that's kind of the key here. Because when we try to seek out needs externally or in ways that maybe aren't supportive to us, it's not really sustainable. And so the opportunity here is to find ways to meet our needs internally in a healthy way. And so that's a little overview of what inner child work is. And I'm going to share now 3 tangible ways that you can begin working with and healing your inner child today. Because what ends up happening is that when we can reparent ourselves in any moment that we notice, like, hey, maybe it's actually not my true self that's coming online in these moments when I'm overreactive with a partner. Maybe there's just a part of me that's feeling like she's not being heard, she's not being seen. And so what does she do? She gets really, really reactive. And in those moments, you can actually nurture yourself, validate yourself, right? Be vulnerable and ask for what you need. And so here's some ways, 3 of my top favorite ways to begin working with and healing your inner child. So the first one is either journaling or meditating. You might decide you like, just thinking of this more, or maybe journaling is more accessible to you. But beginning to build a relationship with your inner children, with your inner child. And there's not just one, okay? There's many, but maybe let's just start with one. So you might want a pen and paper to write this down. A prompt that you can sit with or explore is, journaling from the point of view of maybe your 5-year-old or your 6-year-old, or picking the first memory that comes. When you think about your childhood, normally we have a few key things that come forth, and journaling from that point of view, of that version of you, of that age. How do you feel? What do you most need right now? That question is very, very potent. What do I most need right now? And allow yourself to just free write and journal. Don't overthink it or meditate on it, and just see what comes forth. And if you enjoy meditation, and if that doesn't seem tangible enough for you, I do have a free inner child meditation that guides you through a practice. And so if you reach out to me at Ashley Dawn Perl, I can just send you the link to the meditation. It's really, really powerful, and it allows you to see what is actually going on underneath the surface within your subconscious. And it's really, really powerful. And you can Google meditations as well. There's so many out there, but that's number 1, okay? Journaling or meditating. Number 2, and this is one of my favorite tools ever to use, is called mirror work. Mirror work is when we sit in front of a mirror, we gaze into our own eyes, which maybe you only do when you're washing your hands in the bathroom, but this is a really beautiful, intimate experience, and often people are very, very surprised with what comes up. Now, the key here is to, again, develop a relationship with your inner child. And so whatever you uncover in the journaling, in the meditating, perhaps in even just hearing me speak this evening, you're like, oh, wow, I actually have some needs that weren't met, or beliefs that I really want to work on, that I took on from a young age. A process of reparenting with mirror work is looking yourself in the eye and actually saying the things that you wish you got to hear when you were young. So, for example, looking yourself in the eyes and saying, I love you. You are absolutely perfect just the way you are. I love you unconditionally, and you are safe. Those are just some examples, but those are some things that you could try. And be aware that this can be a little bit emotional, and it's really nice to do this in private, either in the morning or in the evening, whenever you can. So that's number 2, is mirror work. Excuse me. And now the third one, which is the most fun, and this is to play. And I know it might sound silly, but consider for a moment, when you were young, if you have access to these memories, which some people don't, and that's when it actually might be really supportive to work with a coach or a therapist, because those memories do exist. Your body remembers. Your body does remember. It's just that your conscious memory isn't accessible right now. But consider, when you were young, what was your favorite way to play? What was your favorite way to have fun when you were by yourself or enjoying time with friends? What did you like to do? And intentionally carve out some time, maybe it's even 5 minutes this week, to do just that. To draw, to color, to play hopscotch outside, to sing, to dance. And you might notice that in making space for fun and play, you actually end up experiencing a little bit more relief in your life. And not just because you're, doing some movement, but because you're giving your inner child, a place to express. I know for myself that if I don't make enough intentional time to play, to dance, to hula hoop, whatever it is, I feel it. I feel it in the way I am a little bit, more, I won't say grumpy, but just not my natural, hopefully vibrant self. And so I invite you to try this on, and I'd love to know how it goes for you in working with your inner child and allowing space for play and meditating and journaling and doing the mirror work. And please let us know how it goes for you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your evening, and we'll see you on the next training next week, our final one. Thanks so much.